am live. All right. Welcome to Sunday morning. And thanks for dropping in straight away, the Valve Bounce. So yeah, it's been 1 year since 1 year of continuous streaming. That's what I'm celebrating. Well, actually, I think yesterday was the day, but yeah, um today is the 1 year stream, I guess. It's not really supposed to be like a special thing that I'm gonna do this time. I'll just do my normal thing, and we'll talk about it. Obviously, talk about it's been a pretty successful time. It's not like not getting thousands of views or anything, but getting people dropping in who love supercars and want to talk about it, and that's what it's all about. So um, yeah, that's been the best part of it, and I put out a little compilation yesterday, and I'm gonna put together a bunch of compilations. Um, put together a bunch of them later as well because there's a lot to go through of moments where just back and forths about who was good, what was going on at the time, whether we like it or don't like it. Um, compilation was great too. Yeah, it was a bit sloppy with some of the bits, which I watched it. I watched it this morning because I didn't watch it all the way through when I put it out or when I scheduled it. So I just put it together, and I think one of them was, I think it was the Toyota one. The Toyota bit, I didn't actually check what it was. I just saw that in the YouTube editing thing that it it was me talking about the Supra. So I thought, all right, well that looks like it's about right. So I'll put that in. Um, just going through, and I forgot how many streams I've done as well. Um, and so I went, oh, I think I've done like 40. I've probably got a lot more work to do than I think because, it's every weekend apart from maybe a couple when, um, if I wasn't going to be home or if I had to miss it because when I switched to Sunday morning, I had to cancel the stream because it just sort of messed up my schedule and I realized I had to go to bed instead of stream. So, there was that. Um, but yeah, today I'm going to show this little thing that I've been chipping away at, my 2015 driver ups and downs. So this right here is a Nissan Motorsport 2015. Got Rick and Todd and Caruso and Moffat. And it's interesting just how spread out the results are. Like Todd, not so much, but he had his moments where he qualified well, but he wasn't quite as good as everyone else. Caruso was good, Moffat was good, but his year was a lot more sporadic and he had a lot more bad results than anyone else. So, like, I think those years, those first 3 years as Nissan Motorsport, they just had a stacked driver lineup where you knew that on each of their days they could perform at a high level. Like Todd could perform at a high level, Rick, Michael Caruso, and James Moffat could all drive the car within an inch of its life and get a result. Some of them, I think, the Moffat crash at Adelaide is one that was probably a bit of a stuff up. I can't remember what exactly happened though in that one. But apart from that, and then you got 2015 Gary Rogers, where McLaughlin smashed wall all year, apart from a really bad qualifying in Winton. I watched the 2014 Winton race last night where Lee Holdsworth got the win for Mercedes, and he was. I didn't realize that it was one of those races where it was like green flag throughout. I thought that maybe everything just sort of fell his way, but he qualified up the front. McLaughlin had an issue. Lee had a great start, so he got up to third. And then when McLaughlin had to be garaged, he was just behind Fabian, and he put on a great move for the win. So that's just a great performance. That was. I think maybe the Will Davison one might have been a bit more lucky. But where is it? Where was it? Perth. 7th up to 1st. It's possible, but 2014 for me, every time I watch it, I think, gee, this season's boring. The tyres suck and no one can put a move on someone. They're just sort of trying to get past, but not being able to. An epic win for Lee in the category at the time. Yeah, I wasn't really watching at the time, but yeah, that would have been huge. It would have been like, okay, here we go. There are some possibilities for the category. So especially like having, I think Nissan had already got a win, so they probably really needed. And I think maybe by that point, um, uh, Volvo had already got a win, so it's big need for Erebus to get a win. And for Lee, it would have been great as well because he really needed it. One of those drivers who just always the battler, always in a difficult team. But he was good at Gary Rogers in his early years. And when he was from 2008 to 2011, he was one of the best drivers and people really wanted to sign him. But he was being loyal to Gary. And then a move to Stone Brothers would have been good. And he was really good there for a while. If I can find, where's the SVG stuff? Where did I put it? I'll have to stop showing that one for a second. And I'll find the SVG one. Yep, there we go. I'll put that one up for you. Oops, not wrong, not one, different one. Excel one. Yeah. Okay. 2012. So this is qualifying. Obviously, SVG was a great driver even when he was at Stone Brothers. Lee was there. He was that? It's 5 times for Lee, 5 times for Slady, and Slady had finally got good and finally sort of peaked a bit. I think there was a bit of bad luck though for Lee late in the year. He was ahead of the other drivers, but he just had like constant bad results right here from Townsville down to SMP. Either bad qualifying or getting caught in crashes or something. He just like SMP was really bad for Lee. I guess they just couldn't get their head around it. And they had a pretty good enduro campaign, and then he probably was a bit further down than he should have been. Whereas I think Slade just didn't have any issues all year. Nothing really went wrong. And that's how he ended up 5th in the championship, just on consistency. Because I think looks pretty close. If I was able to narrow it down better, be able to see who was second best, who was third best, but we know that SVG was just unlucky at the back end of the year. He probably would have been further ahead in the championship. But I think it would have been tough for Lee jumping into Stone Brothers against SVG and Slade because they'd been there for several years by the time Lee came along. So it's not always a fair comparison to say, oh, this person's supposed to be good. They should be beating everyone else, but they need a few years in it to know if they're really that good. Same as when he jumped in at Walkinshaw, had to get his head around that car after he'd been driving the Mercedes for 2 years. It's difficult with that. Let's go back to 2015. Here we go. LDM was an interesting one, but that's right. I want to look at ProDrive. ProDrive's an interesting one because they got so many drivers who jumped in at different times. So you got Frosty there, and the main thing I wanted to look at 2015 for was because I've got a spreadsheet called Experienced Drivers, and I just wanted it's my way of working out how to rank all the drives. I might just share my whole screen actually. Um, so red means they didn't beat all their teammates, and grey means they did. And so I wanted to look at 2015 because I wanted to see if Chaz actually beat all his teammates. And he didn't really. He outqualified everyone, but he didn't outrace everyone. He needed to sort that out for sure. So he was out qualifying his teammates most of the time. Was that 15 times, and none of his teammates beat him after that. Even counting the times when he didn't participate, nobody outqualified everyone as often as Chaz did during that first. I want to say first half, but it's not really half the season. It's the first 3/4 of the season, roughly. And Chaz just sort of threw away results and didn't do quite well when he should have done, and that's why he didn't win the championship or wasn't leading, even though he was out qualifying Frosty all the time. So, what was interesting is looking at Heimgartner and Pither, because Super Black had Heimgartner. He was pretty impressive at times, qualifying well. Racing was a little bit all over the place, but I guess there must have been some sort of uproar between Heimgartner and Super Black, and so they replaced him with Chris Pither, who was not as good. But maybe at that time, what are we looking at here? This is Gold Coast. That the results start to slip, but then you got something here. What's this one? Pukekohe qualifies 12th. He's able to do a good job. And obviously Cam Waters was very good, but he jumped into the Pepsi Max car, so maybe there was a better situation in that garage. Obviously, Cam with Adam DeBore, and I think I don't remember who was. I think actually it would have been. Who's Andre's? Dylan Talabani. That would have been his engineer. So there might have been a bit of a good engineer driver relationship going on there with Heimgartner and Dylan, and then Pither jumps in, and it's just not quite the same. It could have been that, but also maybe the cars weren't quite as good, which can't really say because Frosty still put it on pole in Sydney. Davey on the front row in the next race. They were definitely able to get results still. So maybe the comments that Chaz made in 2024 is that maybe he's sort of making it up a little bit. He felt like that might have been what he felt, but that might not necessarily be true. They would have still been working on maximising the cars. And then you got Steve Owen. So when he was with Frosty, he was good, but then qualifying really badly. But I think that car must have just had a lot of issues, the number 6 at Sydney Olympic Park. But I haven't seen a lot of that. I haven't seen that round at all, I don't think. I've seen highlights, and that's it. Back several years ago, I think. So yeah. I went to the Bend yesterday and I watched my mate Cameron Quinn racing his Hyundai Excel, and he had a bit of a rough weekend. Something going wrong in every single race, and getting caught in other people's messes, and racing for sheep stations basically, and not a fun time for him, but it happens. Could have been a lot worse really, but it wasn't as bad. But it's a tight battle for the championship in the XLs, so it can be pretty frustrating. So that's that. What else? I like the purple thing I've got because it helps me keep track of who was leading the championship. So Whincup was leading a couple of times, then Lowndes was leading a little bit early in the season. But the thing that I like to say is that when you get to the late part of the season, you need to be in a shot and you need to be swapping the lead a couple of times. It needs to be that close that anyone could win, not sitting in second hoping for them to crash in front of you, because that's not how you win championships. You need to win by winning. So, like Chaz did last year, that's how you win championships. Is you got to put the pressure on, and you need to get the results, and then that's how you win the championship. So, whether you like the finals or not. Then you got HRT, where Jack Perkins jumped in for a little bit. So he did the round before, where he had a really good run in that third race at SMP. For some reason, he was qualifying badly, but he was racing pretty well. I've got the 2009 one as well, 2009 driver ups and downs, where Jack Perkins at Kelly Racing was just not that good. So that was interesting to sort of to see that information and be like, all right, we like to say Jack Perkins is a good driver, but maybe Kelly Racing wasn't good in 2009. Who was also in there, Dale Wood and Mike McNally, and Jack was better than them, but I think Dale Wood was out qualifying Jack a couple times, so it just wasn't something that he was quite able to do. They weren't too bad at Sandown, so they could have had an issue. And then Jack crashed the car in the race for the grid there. But I guess Jack must have qualified it, and then Engel put it up to 6. And then pretty good in the Enduros there. And then when Courtney came back, they were able to get better results. Qualifying was a lot better. So what else? And you got Lethal Lee there. What else? There's Brad Jones, Fabian, after he won that second race in Adelaide, got the championship lead, but after that, not quite close enough. But I think in the previous 2 years, he was a lot closer, so 2014, 2015. In the Winton race with Lee Holdsworth, they were talking about how Fabian was in it with a shot at the championship and consistently getting podiums, which he is. You can see here in 2015, he's racking up podiums every now and then and bringing home trophies, but not so much after SMP. So, and Dale Wood was actually quite good as well at times. He was qualifying. He would occasionally pull a lap out of his ass and qualify at a lot closer to the 10. Technos, SVG, LDM with Dumbrell and Perkins. Sort of interesting that Jack Perkins drove for a couple of the different teams. He put a 16th at Sydney Olympic Park, so good qualifying pace and decent race pace as well. Better than what Paul Dumbrell was able to do at Phillip Island, which is interesting. So just got the setup nailed. It's good to see, because I don't know what happened exactly to Percat, because I thought it was from Darwin, the crash where he had half the car hanging off, but I guess it was from this crash at Pukekohe or something. He must have been injured. One of those things. Sometimes you just don't know stuff about what happened with drivers. And 2015 is one of those seasons where so much stuff happened that I don't know all the stories. Because I didn't really start getting really into it until 2016. So I missed what happened in 2015, but I did know what happened in 2016 and caught up with things. And basically from 2017 onwards, I've been paying close attention and knowing what's been happening. No one at Erebus was, they sort of started to fall away. They had like pretty good pace, and then they just started to drop away. Not getting top 10s, not qualifying in the 10, not racing in the 10. And then they got rid of Ash Walsh, which was interesting. And maybe I feel like Ash Walsh was probably the better driver that they had, because he was qualifying a little bit better, maybe racing a little bit better, able to get those results. And I guess that just another case of, well, not everyone's going to be happy with that. bit of must have been some sort of dispute, and Ash got let go. They put Dean Canto in, and I was like, Why did they get Canto?" So maybe he brought some money or something, and so Canto ended up driving because he drove with Dave Reynolds at PRA as the co-driver. So then he came in. Alex Davison obviously drove with Will, and didn't have the greatest weekend at Sydney Olympic Park, but and it's hard to say who had a better time. But 19th and 22nd, I think, was a little bit better than 22nd and 23rd. That 25th one was not good though. And you got DJR Team Penske, where they're sort of up and down all season. Like sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not there, and not the greatest time. Well, it's started to get a lot more performance later in the year, you can see. And then I guess Ambrose decided he was just going to do this season, and then that was going to be it. And they started probably during the year started to formulate plans around who they wanted to have, and Ambrose was probably encouraging them to not have him because they wanted someone with that modern supercar experience. So that's what it's all about. Yeah, so that's that. What else? Yeah, I'll show this the experienced drivers thing because I think it's just one of those things that's it's a bit interesting. So, because if it was going to be all right, who's the best? You just go, okay, I got budget. These are my definitions. That's what this is. Yeah, change in team name counts as different team, e.g. Kelly Grove Racing is the same team because Kelly's retained some ownership, but Premier is a different team to Team Sydney, and Walkinshaw Racing is the same as HSV Dealer Team because they were both run by Walkinshaw. Yeah, and sometimes, because it's so complicated, sometimes you really need to be making sure your definitions are accurate when you're trying to categorize things. And Rex count as the same team as well, which I don't know when that was relevant in this, but and half the number of rounds participated in counts as full time. So I think there was like Peter Brock in 1976 or something didn't do very many rounds, so he didn't count as full time that year. But what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 bad years and 7 good years for Reynolds. Ten bad to 7 good. I was going to do that. And then you got... Now, I want to do... Team Sydney was a bit of a joke in the end. Well, there was a few problems with it. They weren't... Because it was during COVID. It was... The story was that because they was based in Sydney Motorsport Park, they didn't get the opportunity to do what their big plans were. But my thoughts are it was run by the Webbs, and the Webbs didn't invest much in their performance in cars and things. I think the money got spent at the start of the year when they signed Fabian Coulthard and thought that they would fix everything. And they got Doc Slater as well. And it's just not that you can't you can't make a car faster just by signing good people. You need to be investing in developing parts and things like that, doing those things, which I think they could do at the time. It's not like it was Gen 3, it was Gen 2, where they could develop componentry. And they were a Triple Eight customer team, but the problem was they were probably so far behind with their cars that they would have had to spend a lot more money to catch up. So the best they could get was what they ended up with, which was they were able to get the cars into the back of the like just outside the 10. Supercars management wanted a Sydney team, pushed Webbs into something it's not. More money was needed to improve results. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I did think, mate. I think I forgot about the supercars involvement in that. I think sometimes that stuff's just stupid. Like, let it. They should set up the platform, and then let the teams and the people do what they want to do, and have everything be allowed within the rule set. You manage the rule set rather than saying we want this, so they should do this, because it doesn't really fix everything, and you end up with, you want somebody to do it because they want to do it, not because they're being having a bit of money chucked at them. So yeah, I think Webbs were trying to sell anyway. So, and they were looking for a way out for years. So just one of those things. I think there was a really stupid comment in 2019 from Jonathan Webb talking about, I think it was just after Perth, where there was a big argument of like where they're going to keep Jack LeBrock or what they were going to do. And then they ended up announcing, oh, we're going to keep Jack. And then Jonathan Webb said, oh, we're not going to upgrade the cars upgrade the car until we're beating Triple Eight and DJR Team Penske. So, and I thought, well, you can't do that if you're not investing in the car. Right? It's not how it works. If you want to win, you kind of need to spend the money. So it was good that Pedro Gibras came along and bought them out, because they really needed that. Really needed to get rid of the teams that you don't want to be driving for. Basically the bought seat teams, the ones who, if you drive for us, you're driving for a back market car, and you're paying for your seat. So, which is just bad. I think maybe the situation with Fabian when he left EJR might have been a bit late, because although when was that? So the end of 2020. When was Bathurst? That was in October. That finished the season. So they had several months, but I think usually by October things are starting to get sorted. So I don't know how quickly. I think we also suspected. I remember going to the Bend thinking that, oh, maybe McLaughlin was going to be leaving soon, and so I changed my tune about being annoyed by him winning all the time, basically. So, if we have, I want to say 2016 was green, but I think it might not have been. I think Frosty was still just a little bit better. Most of it was out qualifying him, but Frosty not so much. Frosty did get wins and was battling for the championship, but most of it was also very good. So I've got one. I haven't started working on it yet, but I've got a 2016 driver ups and downs ready to go, basically. Heimgartner. What's that? How many is that? It's 8-3. 3 bad, 8 good. And if we just, well, you know what? We'll call it 3 there. And 10 good. So 3 bad, 10 good, 1 not sure. Orders 7-4. So 4 bad, 7 good. LeBrock 3 and 4. It's a bit closer for LeBrock there. I think it's just more interesting. Obviously, in 2024, LeBrock was up against Brody and Todd. He was pretty good against Todd, but when Brody came back, it was over for LeBrock. He was getting smashed. 2020 and 2021, pretty obvious. Obviously up against Cam Waters and James Courtney in those years. And Lee Holdsworth. 22, he was up against Hazelwood, and it's a little bit surprising. He was actually like Hazelwood and LeBrock are very, very close in terms of like who was good. They're about the same level, which is sort of interesting to think about. Because I like to think that Hazelwood's is pretty good and is better than LeBrock, but I also like to think he's a pretty steady set of hands to have, LeBrock. He racks up the tens. He gets the car in the top 10 of the championship, and if the team can't manage it, then it'd be a tougher time. But they're not always able to be up there. And I think LeBrock is one of those drivers who's not quite as consistently fast. He's maybe not fast enough. So 3 to 4. 3 bad, 4 good. And it's 4 bad for De Pasquale. 5 good. It's interesting. You see where the balance is. It's sort of swinging a little bit. It's more good for De Pasquale, more good for LeBrock, more good for Waters, more good for Heimgartner, Mostert. But, hypothetically, Mostert's got another 3 years, let's say. What if Ryan Wood's beating Mostert? But that wouldn't swing it that much back. But then also something that Dave Reynolds' brother, James Reynolds, said in comments on one of my videos where I talked about Dave Reynolds. He said that he felt like Dave hadn't had an opportunity in a top car. That maybe the opportunity was when he was at Groves. That's my thinking. 22 and 23, but it wasn't quite a top team. And then you got the Erebus years where he was better than his teammates until De Pasquale got good. And then he was up against Heimgartner, where it was very close, but Heimgartner ended up taking the chocolates on that one. And Reynolds was up against Frosty in 24, but maybe we say that Frosty was a bit past it by that point. And the early years for Reynolds, the FPR Pro Drive years, he was up against Frosty and Will Davison and Chaz Mostert, guys who, like, arguably he should have been able to beat Chaz in those years, which he definitely wasn't able to do it in 2015. But 2014, he is probably a bit closer to it. Do I have my little book? Oh, no, I might not have it in the book, but I've got it in how good was Frosty? Maybe 2015 or 2014 here. No, it doesn't really say. Oh, no, that's top 10s. That's okay. Sometimes I wish I had all my information in computer form. What's this one? Alright, it's in this one, I think. This, because I wrote all my stuff in when I made my How Good Was Frosty video. Okay, this is 2019. Let's find it. 2021. Where is it? Oh, okay, here we go. That's 2015. No, I don't have 2014 then. It must have been much more obvious then. Yeah, I think that Reynolds might have been out qualifying Chaz a bit more, but it's hard to say. Um, and then you got, obviously up against Will Davis and Frosty when they were really good. And 2011 at the Kellys, he was good, better than he was out qualifying Murph a bit more in 2011, but he was definitely not out qualifying Rick. He was basically the second best qualifier in 2011 at Kelly Racing. 2009 was the one that I was a little bit surprised at, but I think Paul Dumbrell did beat David Reynolds in 2009. It was sort of close, but maybe not amazingly close. Let's find it. Walkinshaw down here. Yeah, so here's Davey versus Dumbrell. Now, what's the head-to-head here? That's 12 for 12 for Dumbrell. And 10 for Reynolds in race trim. So it was it was close, but in favour of Dumbrell. Dumbrell was qualifying better. But Dumbrell, I think by 2009, even in 2008, I think, definitely in 2008 or 9, Dumbrell could pull a lap out and put it in the top 10. But it was still like one day he's in the top 10, the next day he's down the back. It's just like it's just not good enough. He's not a top driver. He shouldn't be in a top team like he was at HSV in 2008. And he brought a bag of cash, so he was allowed to drive in his Autobahn colours. And Reynolds was part of he was like a Walkinshaw Junior. So he got sort of interesting, the sort of stuff they did back then with Holden Motorsport with their drivers. And I think Ford didn't really have something like that at the time. So I do want to one day go through those things and look at, these drivers they had coming up through the ranks. Reynolds was definitely one of those drivers that he had times where he was actually very good. What was it? I've got some of these. These are from races that I've actually seen. He had a flat tire. He was actually going for a podium at Perth in the first race. I think it was in the soft tire race, because this was 2009. They had soft tire, hard tire races, and so it was a bit interesting. And then yeah, this one was just a bit weird. Apparent that we didn't see it happen in the broadcast in the version on YouTube, where he apparently hit the back of Whincup and then he slowed under the safety car, or when Whincup slowed under the safety car. So he might have had some more damage than, like, he might have stopped to put a new front spoiler on, and might have been the end of it. Paul Cruikshank Racing one was a bit unfair for Patrese because he's driving in the BF and Coulthard was in the FG. I think the team wasn't quite able to provide for Patrese. Holden's program was strong versus Ford's. Yeah, I think so. I think I can't think of a driver in Ford's program that was actually like Ford bringing drivers through. They didn't do that. They just stole from Holden, which is pretty much what Chev are looking at doing at the moment. They're trying to get Matt Payne, and I'm thinking, just cop it on the chin, all right? This is the first year Chev have great drivers, all right? I believe that. Frosty was basically the only one. Well, yeah, but Frosty was just sort of like a Stone Brothers protege. Basically it was Stone Brothers. That was the junior program. Stone Brothers had Mark Winterbottom, Scott McLaughlin, Shane Van Gisbergen, because they were like that. They were the Gary Rogers of Ford. They were looking for young talent to bring into the sport. And Yeah, so they were the ones that grabbed a Frosty, and then McLaughlin for 2010. Chev need to poach a team, not a driver. I think Team 18 are getting there, just not quickly enough. And we knew this was going to happen when Triple Eight moved to Ford, that there wasn't actually another Chev team close enough to be battling for the championship this year. So we knew it was going to be like this. And I think, I don't know if Groves was spoken to about it, but I guess they just weren't interested in compromising their development to make Chev happy, because maybe Chev weren't going to pay enough money for it. Ford have done the work over the last 7 years of converting teams over to Ford, funding some of the racing, and yeah, really getting behind their teams, and that's why Chev are in this position, because being part of Chev, the only I don't think anybody switched to Holden, apart from, you could say, Team 18 did, but that was sort of, they wanted to get Triple Eight gear. That wasn't because Holden was good to be with or Chev was good to be with. It was just they wanted to be in the fastest car, and they thought they could do it by buying a Triple Eight car. But Kelly's moved to Ford after Nissan pulled out, and Groves have stayed that way because that's where the money is. Same deal with when Walkinshaw switched to Ford. And that's why Triple Eight have gone to Ford, is because there's actual support for it. So, I think Chev need to pull their heads out of their asses. And I think that the Team Chevy thing is a good way to do it. Now all the Chev teams are on board with it after Erebus joined at Darwin. So we are seeing a bunch of people. We are seeing Chev sort of coming together, and Team 18 are getting closer. Anton's been basically banking top 10s all year. Can get rid of that one. Where is it? 2026 driver ups and downs. Oh, there we go. Anton. I think this is in order of, yeah, it's, oh, we can make that orange now. Just banking top 10s over pretty much every round, apart from that little blip on the radar. I'm not sure what happened at Christchurch. Might have been a bad pit stop or something. That one's just bad qualifying, but he's been banking top 10s. And he's wearing the championship now. My numbers are not accurate for some reason as well. I don't know why. I'd have to do some digging to find out why these numbers are not the same as what supercars have got. Because I'm adding up the numbers from what their website says on the race results. So there must have been a change or something. Which I'll be able to quickly correct because I've got each round's results. The dark one. Oh, the dark green is okay. So Anton's there in 6th. He's like solidly in the top 10 of the championship, but he's a top Chevy driver. And then above him is what? That light green one. Kai Allen, Cam Waters, Brody, Matt Payne, and Brock. And I think Anton can get closer, but he's up against guys who are also fast that weekend. I think the only reason Brody went down was because he missed out in the last race. Everybody else got pretty decent points, but he was 4th. So he's beating some of those guys. But he might just have been only beating Brody. So 1st, 2nd, 3rd. He's beating Brock because Triple Eight were having a stinker. Well, Brown was 5th. Yeah. So basically, he's beating Brock legitimately. So that's sort of the only one there. What else? I really want to see Erebus get up the front. I like Erebus are my favorite team to see doing well because they're like the people's team. I like Barry Ryan. I know he's controversial. People don't like what he has to say and what he does and things like that. But sports, sports an emotional game, and if someone's what happened with David Reynolds at Erebus, it was just over COVID. Like you can't be making it all about you, and that's what it came down to. Sometimes drivers have got these egos that can't be rested, and you got to make a decision. But maybe it could have been done differently. Maybe that could have been the year that Luke Hilton got put in, but well, they didn't have him. They could have put Brody or Will Brown in, and put them in. I think they had Will Brown doing some of the E series and covering for Reynolds in that one, so they could have done that in 2020 as well. Just have them be super subs, which I don't know if I mentioned in the last stream, but I think it's because like I talked about Brody being sick. I don't think I knew that Todd replaced Brody until like really late into it. And so, we've got 13th at the 12th, 15th second penalty for spinning Fraser. That was a pretty good race, and it could have been a lot better if he hadn't had that 15-second penalty. So, but what I was saying before was I think that there are a lot of very good drivers in. There are a lot of young, talented drivers, or quite a few talented drivers in Chevy that just need time. Cooper Murray, Jaden Ojeda, like there's some really talented drivers in there. Zach Bates. Who else they got? I think that's it. Jack LeBrock's a solid steer. And you said, I think the Reynolds and Brody things was too much for me to like Barry. No doubt he's a racer, but I think he's a dinosaur that hasn't evolved to a modern race world. Maybe. I think Barry is definitely one of those old school sort of guys. But I'd probably be like that too, I think. Gary Rogers was like that too. No one person is above the team, and that's sort of it. And so if you make maybe the thing that like, and you've got a good example of some teams do it better than others, but then they're managed by younger people. I don't know how old Barry is, but Barry's been around since I think he started in the 90s. At John Faulkner Racing, I think I heard. That was when Barry Ryan started. And so that would have been late 90s, early 2000s. And then he ended up at Perkins and then Kelly Racing and did the GT program for Erebus and stuff like that. But there are different teams that do different things. Like DJR with Brody, it's not so much about one person being above the team, but much more about you look after your people, and you make sure that you don't have a big fight. But Barry's problem is that he will just say what he thinks. He knows he has a mouth that moves before his brain thinks. And I have that too sometimes as well. Like I understand what it's like to just go and say something stupid. And I think we all have times where we're upset and we say something stupid. And we regret it, and but I think we know that if someone says something that's a bit out of the ordinary, that they're probably just upset. They're probably having probably getting too upset about it, and but yeah, Dave's Dave. He likes to. He wasn't a believer in the COVID stuff, and he didn't want to get a jab, and so think I don't know if he eventually did, but he Supercars wasn't allowing him to compete, and so um that's why Luke Youlden jumped in for the 2021 race. Which is interesting that that stuff wasn't happening before, but I think the Victoria outbreak was a bit bigger in 21 than it might have been in 2020. But I remember it being really bad in 2020 at times in Victoria. Um, so yeah, just a blow up that got out of control and wasn't properly managed. And it you see it does happen. Like when I was talking about Super Black before with Heimgartner and Erebus with Ash Walsh, that was probably might have been a bit of Barry there. Barry with Will Davison. That Davo said he was just told that he was no longer required, and it was like, what? Now you don't have a driver. Just didn't make any sense. They should have had 2-star drivers like they did in 2014, but just weird. But yeah, I think that there's, obviously the Ford Brigade's a lot more stacked with talent than the Chev teams, but you do have a few drivers who, like Cooper Murray is very good. Zach Bates is very good. Jaden Ojeda is very good. And that's kind of all. It's what, 5 teams? How many teams have we got? It's annoying that I sort of don't have a great way of doing this. I'm always improving it slightly, but it's not quite good enough. There's what, Erebus, Team 18, MSR, Premier. Is that right? Team 18, Erebus, Premier, MSR. Why do I feel like there's another team? No, 4 teams. We were locked down badly, but the initial outbreak in 2020 was the worst we faced. Okay, deaths were low after the initial hit, though, through aged care facilities. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, because I'm from South Australia, and so we didn't have a lockdown until really late in the year. It was like August or something, and I think it was just we had like seven cases or something. Seven, like there was like a little tiny outbreak. I remember there was like an outbreak in a pizza shop or something, and so we had a lockdown, and it was just like we were on top of it like really quickly. And so we didn't have any issues until we had like 2 lockdowns at the end of 2020, and that was like one was supposed to be 7 days, and then it got called off early, and then another one was like 3 days or something. That was about it. We didn't have really long lockdowns, so we were sort of lucky, maybe in how it was managed and whatever might have been done. Yeah. Yeah, we were definitely lucky. We didn't really notice it. So it's always interesting from a South Australian perspective, um, when people talk about COVID and the lockdowns, we didn't experience that, but we know that it was, I think in America, maybe it was pretty big, and definitely in like in the eastern states of Australia as well. Um, so I don't know. I think Western Australia wasn't that bad either, but yeah, we were definitely lucky because it just sounded like things were going from bad to worse in other parts of the world. I think in the UK as well, really bad. Yeah. But hmm, what else? We don't need the frosty thing anymore. I can get rid of that. WA locked out everyone else. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's right. Locking up the borders. Yeah, so I think we were locking up the borders pretty much straight away. Um, I had relatives who were traveling at the time, and they managed to get back to South Australia in time. I think one of my mates was in Canada around the time, and so I messaged him like, "Did you get back on time?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got back on time." I'm like, "'Cause otherwise you wouldn't be able to come back." Uh, it's funny. Or I think he no, hang on, he ended up staying at, like, his auntie's in Queensland or something like that. It was just it's crazy. Um, let's get back to this, I think. But yeah, Chev have got some talented drivers coming through. I think Ford have just got they've just grabbed the teams that had the good drivers and had the good platforms and got sort of they just did a really good job with it. Ford have also stuck it out through Gen 3 to get to this point where everything's good for them, but it was not good in the early days in 23. I think in 24 it wasn't so bad, but 23 it was like it was terrible. They were qualifying well and then just dropping positions, and there was like no reason why they were dropping positions. They were lucky to be getting results. It was a really bad time for them. Mecca Jones, all bad, no good. Golding, one bad, but that was up against uh, can you say it? Yeah, say whatever you want to say. Six. Good. Parody. Yeah, exactly. It was parody. It was 'cause the proof was in the pudding. If you looked at the numbers, and I was a bit of a denier in 2023 too. I was like, the teams are going to do a better job. Um, and then I looked at the numbers. I was like, look at all the Fords qualifying in the top 10, and then look at all the Chevs that race their way into the top 10. And then especially we're screwed early on, but it got better. Yeah, I think in 24 it was fine. And then they wanted to make more changes. Um, but they didn't until the boot lid in 25, right? Was that the start of last year? Put boot lid. Um, but the one that made me really think, okay, maybe parity really is like the big issue here was when Cam Waters put it on pole at Townsville and just dropped. And I was like, what? As we just said it before, Gen 3, that the Fords would qualify fast for Sherwood Racer fast after he drove both. Yeah. And maybe I should have taken what he said more seriously. But what I hate um is when people it's I think it's bad for the sport to talk about it in a negative way and say that, oh, Supercar's doing such a bad job with Gen 3 and doing this and doing that. That was managed really, really badly. And it really sucks that that process people weren't like a lot of drivers got to drive the Gen 3 cars throughout the process. Um, but I guess maybe by the time SVG drove the both cars, it was the dice had already been rolled. They'd already spent the money or something. The thing that I thought was the worst thing they did for Gen 3 was importing parts. Especially during COVID. I thought it was the stupidest thing I've ever heard of in my life, where you've got a time where the global economy has slowed down and you're importing componentry. When we have the basically supercars is like just multiple engineering firms. Just send them the CAD files. Find an organization that or company that can make all the things and just do it in house. Do it in Australia. And it's really frustrating as a what do you call it? As a bit of a patriot, is that when when we keep looking overseas for what's good when we've got it so good here, and then we go, "Oh, yeah, that looks like everyone's happy, so we'll go do that." That's the dog that's just terrible attitude that people have got about how to make things good, is by looking at what is happening overseas when we have a unique sport. We've got, we had all these teams in Gen 2 that were making their own cars, and during COVID, Erebus were making masks, and the BRT trucks were doing like it was amazing. I didn't like how they handled it. That's why I thought it blew up with the fans to pretend like nothing was wrong to keep the gloss in the category. Yeah, it was handled badly for sure. And um, I wanted to be a voice of positivity because I don't like um, agree with the manufacturing onshore too. Yeah, I just I don't like too much hate on things. Um, and so sometimes I just want to put a positive voice out there to say, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, all right? Let's not, because I think there were good things about Gen 3 that, like, I thought the racing was good, even though it was like mostly Chevs moving forwards through the field. The Chevs were battling each other. There was still good racing going on. It was just the Fords weren't fast, or the Fords were blowing the rear tires off. Um, though some of the drivers seem to be better at it than others, and so that was fine. But I don't like too much hate in the sport. That's my big thing. Because I want to see us being we want to grow the sport. We don't want to shrink it. And so when you had things like a lot of people saying, "Oh, the drivers are all going to NASCAR, and supercars is basically a NASCAR junior category or a feeder series for NASCAR." Well, first of all, that's a lot of crap, and then second of all, there's only like 3 drivers doing it, and it's not like some people get all America brained and think that everything's yeah, grass is always greener. That's the attitude that some people get. So I really hate that. It probably just comes back to me being more of a patriot. Like, there's a lot of good things here in Australia, and some people think it's terrible here, and I really hate to hear that. So that's my thing. Um, what do we got? This is Will Brown, and Will Brown's an interesting case here for 2026. But he's been up against the best drivers in the category, so I also like to defend Will Brown and say, all right, in 2021 he was beating Brody, but maybe Brody hadn't quite got it worked out. But then he started smashing him, and then Brown went to Triple A, and he's getting beaten by Brock every year. It was close in 24, but Brock had him in quali. And then 25, obviously, in 26 getting smashed. I think it's a bit closer in 26 though, so it's pretty close now. So how do I do this? We've got 5 bad, 1 good. And in inverse for Brody. So 1 bad, 5 good. Feeney. Feeney, it was interesting because he was actually kind of close to SVG in 2023 because he was out qualifying him a bit more, but SVG was beating him in the races. So, and obviously SVG didn't really like the Gen 3 car, and he obviously moved on pretty quickly. So we got 2 bad, 3 good. Randall, all bad. All bad, no good. Payne, 1 bad, 3 good. Hill. And 2026 is also still going on, so it could change during the year. So that's what, 3 bad, 1 good. 2 bad, 1 good. for Ryan Wood. It was really, really close with the numbers last year for Wood versus Mostert. And I think maybe if there wasn't the team orders stuff with Woody helping out Chaz, that Woody would have Woody might have beaten. No, so Brown was better in race trim, but Brock was better in quali. That's where the edge was. So Brown was beating him in the race trim, but Brock had him in quali. I could try and find the stats for you. And I'll, is it that one? No, it's not ups and. Oh, maybe it isn't ups and downs. All right, it's probably in both anyway. I think this one's in weird order too. Oh no, it's not. Equal first, yeah. So third and equal second for Will Brown in quali. First and equal first in top 15s. But yeah, Brock cut it over everyone in quali, and it was equal second in race trim. Second in race trim is very, very close. But I think was the other thing I've got that's actually better at showing how close it was. Times beaten. Brown 25 times beaten. Oh, it's not quite. Is 24? All right, yeah. So 14 out of 24 times that Brown outraced Brock Feeney. So that's 10 times that Brock outraced. So yeah, Brown had the edge there, but he definitely didn't. It was 9 out of 24. So it's 15 times that Brock had him in quali. So 15, then 10 times in the races, so 25 times beaten. So yeah. So if it was a bit closer, then it might be. So it's 52%, which is 52% of the time he was beaten. So it's really close. But yeah, not close enough. Then you got same as Will Davison and Anton De Pasquale in 24 as well, which I think we remember Anton having the year where he was out qualifying Will Davison, and you can see it here. He was out qualifying him most of the time, 9 times for Will Davison. But then Davo was out racing him because Anton kept throwing it away. So yeah, it was very close, but it was yeah. Sometimes it's just like that, where it's just like it's really close, and then there's just one metric where he's got him. So yeah, Declan Fraser, all bad, no good, or Kai Allen, all bad, no good, which is rude to say about Kai Allen. He's doing a great job, but it's like the Will Brown thing. He's up against one of the best drivers that we've got. So it's not like he's doing a bad job. He's just up against a guy who's doing a better job. Kai Allen's obviously getting podiums and winning races and running up the front. On his day, he's basically as good as Matt Payne, but Payne's got the consistency. And we'll see if there's any sort of change next year, if Allen starts beating Payne, or if that happens this year. Yeah, one bad, one good for Cooper Murray. All bad, no good. Kyle will be 2027 champ the way he's going. 2027 champ. Yeah. Yeah, well, the way the team's going as well. Now that Groves have got the team's championship lead, he's definitely having a much better year than last year, where he's in the mix pretty much straight away. So definitely on for a good result. There was a podcast that I jumped on at one stage, and jumped in the chat and was talking to the people who were running it. It wasn't you guys. It was another bunch of guys. I had to get on some sort of weird podcast website to watch it or something. And I called Kai Allen a freak. I don't think it was you guys. I think it might have been someone else. I think it might have been Let's Talk Motorsport or something. It was ages ago. But yeah, Kai Allen is a bit of a freak. But also, Grove Racing is an incredible team, and they like Reggie Stanaway was pretty good at Groves in 24, but they got rid of him because they wanted someone better. So that's like the team is just really, really good. All bad, no good. All bad, no good. No bad, all good. All bad, no good. All bad, no good. We will not see Jackson Walls do much better. Be surprised if he gets another year. Jackson Walls is just like, there's like definitely some nepotism going on there. That well, not nepotism, but like definitely like daddy's cash sort of thing going on there. Really sucks because I think Jackson Evans would have done a better job than Jackson Walls. Evans would have been qualifying in the top 10, I think. But just too many DNFs, too many crashes, really. And I guess SCT decided that wasn't good enough, or maybe it was more a case of Jackson Walls had the bag of cash and wanted to do main game, and so he kept on shaking the bag of cash at SCT, and they went, "Oh, we can't say no. We like cash." But it's funny because I keep thinking the SCT was like a paid entry, fully covered, because that's what I'd heard about when Jack Smith was racing. But maybe when Jack Smith wasn't racing, they the budget wasn't as close there. So yeah, it just sort of really sucks because I feel like Jackson Evans has the potential to be a better supercars driver and didn't deserve to lose that opportunity. Which is why I did like a whole stream trying to work out what happened because I didn't think he deserved it. I thought he was crashing. Obviously, he kept on getting caught up and stuff. And that wasn't good, and obviously it cost money to fix things, but that's racing. And I didn't think that he was crashing out by himself or anything, doing a bad job. He was just he was always at the wrong place at the wrong time and just got caught up in carnage. And sometimes it's because he qualified down the back, and the only way to qualify out of the mess is to qualify. Well, the only way out of the mess is qualifying. So yeah, it's just difficult. So we got that. So if I was going to do this in a good way, 10 bad, 7 good, that's hang on. I want to get my calculator, which is here, and do percentages because I want to have some sort of ranking system. This is getting into a special stream, not just by having the valve bounce here, but also I'm finally getting my system worked out for my rankings of who's good, who's not good. And it's all about if you can beat your teammate, you're pretty good. If you're not beating your teammate, you're not that good. But sometimes it's like, Job Stewart might be good, but he's up against Cooper Murray, who's pretty damn talented. So it's not always a fair comparison. And so I like the Will Brown situation. Will Brown's been beaten his whole career. I'm special, all right. You guys are special. Yeah, I like your. You got like different takes on things, and there's so much good there. Dedication to the stats is so good. Thank you. I love the numbers. All right, so Dave Reynolds. So that's not 50%. How do I do this? How do I maths? I gotta work out how to do this. How do I do this? I know that there's a way. I wish I was good at maths. That's the hard problem. That's the problem here. If it has to be a percentage. All right. No, I can do this. I know what I'm doing. 7 out of 10. So it's 70% good. If we did like that, then that'll be fine. And then is that right? No, hang on, no, that's not right. It's not. It's like 30%. If it's 7 out of 17, because it has to be out of the total, then we get 41%. Right, 41% good for Reynolds, and then you've got 10 out of, and I'm not sure about 2016, but I'm pretty sure he was beaten by Frosty. Probably not going to do that today. Not sure. See how long I feel like going for. Out of 14, we'll call that 71% for Chaz. 8 out of, is it 11? 72% for whoever that is. Waters? Hang on, no, Heimgartner. Right? That looks like Heimgartner. I think it is. Is this in order of age? No, it's in order of most experienced. Of course it is. I'm an idiot. It's called experienced drivers for a reason. 72% good for Jaime. 7 out of, what's that, 11 again? Oh, no, hang on, that's 8. Okay. 63%. Hang on, no, that's 64% because it's slightly over 50% there. 64% good for Cam Waters. That's an interesting one. LeBrock, 4 out of 7. 57% good. So yeah, now we're getting some numbers here. So if I had it in an order, then we'd know who's the best overall. And that's the problem here. It's across a career rather than across the year or who's best on the day or who's best that season, which you could easily work that out. But it's a lot more difficult. I'm just sort of ranking who had the best career, really. But you don't have to be winning races, you don't have to be winning the championship to have a great career. 5 out of 9. 55% good. Who's that? No, it's not LeBrock. Who's that? Who was good in 20 and 21? Davis Pasquale. All bad, no good. Well, that'd be Macca Jones, wouldn't it? Yeah. 0% good. That's just sad. 6 out of 7. 85%. Oops. 85%. Oops. Alright, yeah. Who was that? Who's 86% good? Golding, my man. My man, Jimmy Golding. Alright, 1 out of 6. That is not good. This is, we call this 17% good. Who's that? Oh, that's Will Brown. It's just so rude to say that Will Brown's 17% good. Macca needs to go, sadly. Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's a little bit of dad's paying for your ride kind of thing. The team's giving you that opportunity. And Brad seems to be happy with it. He seems to think that that's fine, that works for the business, because at the end of the day, he has to run a business. So, and by the sounds of things, the impression I get is that Macca is actually good with the sponsors. It's just like, if I was a sponsor, would I want Macca Jones as my represented driver? And I don't think I would. I'd want to sponsor someone who I felt could do a good job. Nepo indeed. This is 5 out of 6 is good. 84%. That's Brody. is one of the best. He's 86% again. Golding. It's slightly better because he's had that one more year in the category. 3 out of 5. 60%. Who's that? That's not Randall. That's Brock. 60% good. And 0% good for whoever that is. Randall. That'll be Randall. 3 out of 4. Randall's got to go too. I don't know why they feel like he deserves multi-year deals. The results aren't there. Like I would be pinching Golding or something. Pinch someone who's good. Pinch someone who's been beating their teammates the whole time. That's what you want at Tickford. 3 out of 4. Shit, hang on, I already did that one. 75%. Who's that? Who had a bad 23 but a good rest of the time? Cameron Hill. No, Matt Payne, okay. And 1 out of 4. 25% good. Oops. Who's that? Cameron Hill. Which is a bit surprised. 24. He was up against Percat. He did a better job at 25 up against 2025. Where did it come from? He was at MSR last year up against Percat. Yeah, beat Percat, I guess. 1 out of 3. Whoops, 1 out of 3. 33% good. Which is who? Who's doing well that wasn't doing... Oh, Ryan Wood, of course. 0% good. Good. Why? Alright, 1 there. Okay, that's 50% good. Hard to say because who's Jade? No, Jada. No, that's someone else. Cooper Murray. Yeah, he's 50% good. And then no bad, all good. That's Jade. No Jada. He's 100% good. So Premier need to pull their finger out because they got a good driver. So they need to make sure that Juice is happy. So copy that one. Paste. All right, there we go. So that's in order of experience. This is the ranking. That's age. Because then you got LeBrock up there, even though he hasn't done as many seasons. Macca Jones hasn't done as many seasons. Because it's rough. It's pretty rough there, like how many seasons people have done. Just not rough, I'm not saying. It's just interesting. No, Jada is like, he's like in the middle in terms of age. You know, there's drivers who are in their rookie season, they're 20 or 21. Although wouldn't Kyle, and it should be 2 seasons, right? Why have I got that? Why have I done that? So that's not right. Jose Bates, Jackson Moles, Ryan Wood. Yep. I don't know why I had Allen down there. So he should be... this is still in order of age, right? So he's still young, but I just put the wrong number of seasons in there. Then you got the number of achievements. Job Stewart, 2023 Super 3 champion. Jade Jada, 2018 Formula 4 champion. Zach Bates, 2024 Super 2 champion. Ryan Gray, 2025. Aaron Cameron, multiple-time Tasman Series winner, 2023 S5000 champion. Kai Allen, 2023 Super 2 champion. Declan Brazer, 22 Super 2 champion. Cameron Hill, Formula Ford and Crow Cup. Matt Payne, Toyota Racing Series. Randall was quite good in the junior categories and especially in open wheelers. And then he comes into main game up against, he was like second best in 2023, and then he stayed second best to Cam Waters. I think that's where he was. Just not good enough. Brock Feeney, see, Super 2, Super 3. World Round, Formula 4 and Toyota Race 6 champion. Golding didn't win anything until he won the 2025 World Time Attack Challenge in Hypercar. Which sometimes I think Hypercar just depends on whatever car you're driving in, but maybe it can be competitive. Then you got a few Formula Ford and Formula Renault champion for Di Pasquale, 2012 Formula Ford champion LeBrock, Waters, Victorian Formula Ford, Australian Formula Ford, Super 2, Heimgartner, New Zealand Formula Ford, and NZV8. Mostert 2010 Formula Ford and Reynolds 2007 Carrera Cup. We've got a lot of champions here, except for Micah Jones. Brody Kostecki didn't win a championship until he became main game champion, which is like a fun little fact. Like, no, he didn't win anything. And then Ryan Wood hasn't won a championship yet either. And I think those are the stats going into 2026. So didn't have those the wins and podiums that he's had since then. And I don't know if he's had a pole this year, but so then in that case, if we have my ranking, Jaden Ojeda is sort of unfortunate to be up there 100%. And the next best is 86%, which is Golding. Um, 72. No, hang on. Brody, 84%. And so once I've got this worked out, then this might help the way I do my tier list. I'll show that in a second once I've finished going through, finished putting these in the right order. Brody, Matt Payne, 2. Reynolds is 41% good. That's brutal. And this is just the way I'm calculating it. It's not like I'm being partial or anything. This is just, the numbers don't lie. But obviously there'll be behind the scenes reasons why things happened. 57% or 60% here for Feeney. 57% for LeBrock. 55% for Di Pasquale. Which I think Di Pasquale's will start coming back his way, and he will start going up the ranks. Unless they put if they put Matt Payne up against Di Pasquale, I think I might bet on Payne over Di Pasquale. And here we go. Give Murray 50%. I'm like, surely it's not Reynolds yet. 41%, and then Ryan Wood after Reynolds. So 33%. And then I don't know who I'd put top to bottom in order of who's not good, who's good. But I mean, I'd probably put Zach Bates a bit closer because he hasn't quite got it over LeBrock, but he's definitely talented. Like, you just shouldn't be seeing a rookie putting the thing in the top 10 like he does. He's as good as Ojeda, I think, but he's not beating his teammate. Payne is a smiling assassin. Yeah. he's smiling because he's confident. He knows he's good, and he knows that he can get the results done. And it's one of those things that you don't. It's just like bit of Craig Lowndes, I think. He comes in, he's impressive straight away, and then he's sort of waiting for the moment to, like, he's already won Bathurst, and now he's like really going for the championship. He's what, second in the championship now. He's grabbing wins, he's grabbing podiums all the time. He is such a threat to anyone who wants to win the championship. You need to beat Payne and Groves. And even Allen, like, you can't count Allen out. But yeah, he's definitely a smiling assassin. Is that what they called? What are they? Oh, they called Glenn Seaton the babyface assassin. But I think that's what they used to call Lowndes. They used to call him the smiling assassin as well. All right, now let's do this in order of how bad everyone is. Put it there, kind of. So Randall, no, you can't be second best every year. That's not good. It's not fair. Then I want to put Fraser, which, I'm sorry, Decker, you're a great guy, I'm sure, but you can't be not beating your teammate. You're more experienced than Ojeda. Aaron Cameron. Oops, not there. Above Fraser. Walls. Oh my God, Walls. Yeah, Walls has his moments for sure. Let's have a quick look at Jackson Walls here. He has his moments. He'll qualify in a good position, but he drops down to 22nd. I'm like, he was not fast enough in the race at Tassie, and that's what frustrated. If you're watching the race, watching Jackson Walls getting bumped out of the way, it's just like you're waiting for an accident watching him drop down the order because he wasn't fast enough. And sure, he got hit off the track, but he was going slow. And it's like, how can you be in a Triple Eight car? Everyone's jealous of you. Get out of the way. Ugh. Frustrating. He did get 12th there, but it was like he's having like an Aaron Cameron year minus the qualifying speed. At least Aaron Cameron, he can do a good job on occasion. He just needs to not be getting caught up in every incident ever, which I think they just didn't have the pace in Darwin. So, in Tassie, it was like, this is happening too often. This is like a drinking game. If you watch the 2026 season with Aaron Cameron, every time something went wrong, you'd do most of your shots in the first 7 races, and then you probably sober up by the time you got to the first race at Tassie where he got hit off track. But you'd be what do you call it? Incoherent by the time you got to by the time you're watching Taupo or Christchurch, you'd be incoherent. So, but yeah, Jackson Walls, man. All right. Where was I? I was sorting this out. Rylan Gray, and my guy Bootleg, he says Rylan Gray is not good enough. He's not that good. So, but I think Gray's better than Walls. So I want to put Walls below Fraser. So he goes there. Gray, I want to put Gray. Gray is getting better, but he's not close enough. I think we saw more from Aaron Cameron. And to be fair to Rylan Gray, he is 20. Like, he's a young guy. It's not. And he's up against Brody Kostecki, who's trying to help him, and Rylan is getting better. We're just not seeing that breakthrough result quite yet. So he's not this like freak talent. He's not like a Brock Feeney, where even in 2022, by the end, Gray is better than Walls, but needs to be better. Most disappointing so far, as I expected more, but he's young. Yeah. So where do I put him? Underneath Bates for sure. Above Walls. Above or below Fraser? I think Cameron's better, but Cameron's older as well, so it's not really fair. But I still want to say Cameron's better than Gray. So as you can see from how things are going, it doesn't matter how old you are or how experienced you are. David Reynolds is the 12th best driver according to my numbers. Bates has been good, above expectations. Yeah. Bates has been surprisingly impressive, especially at the first round of the year. Jumps in the car, qualifies in the top 10 in all 3 races or 2 out of 3 races. That was incredible. I was like, all right, you've got a fast driver. You just got to tune him up and he'll be really good, which was so good to see. And that's what they used to say about Anton when Anton was in his rookie season, freaking stuck the thing third at Bathurst. Like, magic can happen with Zach Bates. So, I'm gonna do Fraser a solid and put Rylan Gray below him. I could go into the tiny numbers. Fraser didn't beat any of his teammates in 23, I think. And this year, I think it's a bit closer this year between Juice and Decker. Job Stewart. Job is... Here we go on Title Chase. Job Stewart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times he's beaten his teammate. A couple of times in quali, but got to remember this is Erebus and they're having a really difficult year. But some of these times he's out-qualified his teammate. The only reason he out-qualified Cooper in that first one was because of the Cooper had mechanical issues, I think, in that qualifying. So didn't get a lap done. Not too bad. Hasn't had a top 15 yet. So he's still hanging around the back there, the bottom there. Murray has had better results, but maybe that's because of qualifying. Don't know what happened in that second race at Darwin. Might have got caught up in accident or something. It didn't pop up in the highlights. But Job. I want to be fair to Job. I want to put him... I'm going to put him above Walls. I don't think Walls is good enough. I'm going to be a bit frustrated if we continue to see that guy next year. I'm sure he's a great guy, but like, come on, dude. Like, sort it out. Like, I put Randall down. I put Jones down. It's probably not fair to Randall. Randall is a better driver but he's in a better car, right? Randall's in a better car. He's in a better team. And so what's frustrating is to watch a guy who has the opportunity to get results, not getting those results. And that's what Randall's like. You're watching him being disappointed pretty regularly. His teammate won the thing. And Randall struggled. What was the one where he had... I think Saturday was the one where his cool suit failed. And he did the whole race with a cool suit that failed. Same thing happened with Cameron Hill as well. What else? So, I don't want to be completely disrespectful to Randall. Not sure he has what it takes as much as I like him. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm sure Randall is a great guy, and he seems like a great guy. He's on everything ever all the time. Well, he was at one point. I don't see him on things quite as much, but results aren't there. In most sports, about results. If you aren't getting the results, it's just not happening. You don't like one pole a year and one podium a year is not good enough. Like not in a Tickford car. Not when the rest of your results are the occasional top 10 and bordering on 15th regularly. That's not good enough. Trace Randall. Yeah, 10th, 3rd, 10th, 8th, 8th, 9th. Not good enough. Orders. Look at him banking top 10s regularly. So, yeah. Not good enough. Alright. What else? So yeah, Jones is the worst thing. That's fair. Randall, not because he's not good, but because of how he's performed in the car that he's been in. Whereas Jaden Ojeda is great because he's just been smashing his teammate. Same thing as Golding. Like when a driver is doing that well, they need to be put in a top car against another top driver. Golding to Tickford, Ojeda to Tickford, like put those guys in top seats. If I was Team 18, I'd be putting Ojeda in the car against Di Pasquale. Like it might be a bit one sided, but then you get the proof is in the pudding. Then you got someone who smashed his teammate. Now he's up against a guy at the top of his game. That's what you need. So, Golding needs that opportunity. Brody needs that opportunity. Brody needs to be up against Brock Feeney, really, because Will Brown's down here in 15th best driver because he's been up against the best drivers of the day, been up against Brody Kostecki and Brock Feeney, which is kind of crazy odds, but he needs to back himself and, well, not just, I mean, I'm sure he's got plenty of confidence. He knows what he needs to do. The job's there in front of him. Beat Brock Feeney. So, which is great. And it's good to see Brown beating Feeney on occasion, which he did. Darwin got a few more points than him. But he's on the clawback anyway, so because he didn't have as good a start of the year. Reynolds been up against really, really good drivers. It's half the problem. 21 up against Heimgartner, 2020 up against Di Pasquale when he came into form, and also just did not enjoy the COVID times. And then what's that? The Anton years again. 25, 26, Team 18. FPR years up against Frosty and Chaz and Will Davison. Up against Rick Kelly and up against Paul Dumbrell, which, if you get beaten by Paul Dumbrell, that's your own fault. But it was his rookie year, and, even though Paul Dumbrell wasn't that good, Reynolds was also a rookie. And so it's sort of fair to expect the guy who's been around for 6 years to be beating you. So, you'd be disappointed if Paul Dumbrell didn't beat Dave Reynolds in his rookie season. But, Declan Fraser isn't beating Jaden Ojeda, so, it's frustrating. Aaron Cameron was up against JC. Now he's up against Jimmy Golding. But he's pretty good. It's not completely terrible. And at the end of this year, I will do my, what's the thing called? What did I call it? Not the ups and downs. Best qualifiers and races. And then I'll have those numbers and we'll get to see where the edge was. And because I think he is getting beaten in quali and in races and all that. And there's no point saying, I think, when I got the information right here, he is out qualifying Jimmy like half the time. But he's not out racing him. Jimmy's got the racing sorted. So, I think was that last race in Darwin we were watching? I don't know what happened because Jimmy was stuck behind Aaron Cameron in Darwin. I was watching the shotgun on Jimmy's cam. He was stuck behind Aaron Cameron for the first like 15 laps, and then I guess something happened to Cameron because he dropped a couple spots. Meanwhile, Jimmy made his way up to 14th. He's doing a great job. If the car can't do it, he brings it up through the field, gets some results. 17th, 21st, and 16th. Is that right? Yep. Cool. Done that. Oh yeah, and while we're doing this as well, where's my tier list? How good was? Who's the best? And it's a kind of a mess at the moment. Let's put this here. So I got Garth Tander up the top because by the end of 1998 he outqualified Jason Barker and outraced him. Mark Scaife, and I have the numbers on these guys, so I can actually let's do that as well because it's fun. I like doing this. How good was such and such a stuff, and especially with that ranking system that I got going on here, I can do this, but with older drivers. How good was Lowndes? Because I got my totals at the end. How much better was he? So, and this is just like an overall thing, which makes it a bit tricky. So we're gonna go to 1996 because it's pretty interesting there. Lowndes was equal in quali against Peter Brock, which is pretty cool. But it's just those times, like it's not like he got beaten to pole. He was just he got beaten to pole there. Brock had 2 poles. Lowndes had 3 poles. It's 1996, so Glenn Seaton or John Bowe had the other poles. Who was on pole in 1996? Probably Glenn Seaton, I think, actually. Yeah, Glenn Seaton and John Bowe, they were basically the best drivers of the time, 96, 95, 97. So if I need to calculate these numbers, because to do it the same as the way I did it on the other thing, 5 times Craig Lowndes outqualified Peter Brock. Yep, so that's 5 there. 20 times outraced Peter Brock. So he was better. Lowndes was overall better than Brock and that. And he got 98. And then beat him because the progressive grids time makes it a bit harder. Like if you have a bad qualifying session, so what do you got? He didn't out qualifying all the time. The first 2 races. Then beat him in the races. So stuff had just gone wrong. Scaife, he didn't quite have the race pace. Something happened in that first one at Sandown. I don't know if we've got the footage though. This one was close. So call this what I call this better overall. So 5 out of 10. So you got 5 points there, call it 25. 25 overall for CL. And what's that? 5 and 7. God, that's 12 overall for PB. Right, and then we have a look at Lowndes and Scaife. So 4 times, and then that's 27 times. 27 overall for CL. And what's that? 6, that's 8 times. 8 overall for MS. 99. MS is a terrible abbreviation name to have. There's my man, multiple sclerosis. Scaife's better. Scaife's a better nickname. Alright, 6 times for CL. That's 22 times CL. 12 and 7, so that's 19. 19 for MS. 2000. My coffee's going cold too. Right. 5 times CL that qualifies. 5 and he's got straight up beaten in quali, beaten in race stream. So it's what, 19 overall for CL. And what's that? 8 and call it 25 for MS. 2001 smashed everyone, so we need to find totals. Because we need to find what 2007. You know, obviously just beat everyone all those years. And was worse all the way through it. Worse in quali and an equal race, so well that doesn't make up for anything. Yeah, just not getting the job done there. So 27 times is worse. Oh, because it needs to be the year. Right, so the overall, I think it's overall better. In 96. Yeah, overall better in 96. So, yeah. Total. So, better overall. I think it's better overall. Why doesn't it want to do that? And better overall, worse. When did I do that? That's weird. It's just sort of guessing for me or something. Oh, I see. It's still like predictive text. That's cool. Except that's not right. So, Lowndes was worse. We go here. I'm just going to stick a line on the left. Better. Worse. So, how do I do this? It's 22 seasons. 9 out of 22. 40.9 40.9. Let's put that in here. 40.9%. 40.9%. Not good. He was up, well, also Scathe 2000. And there's that. There's Lowndes. I don't know how long I want to go for. I might, because I don't like just doing the work in the middle of it. I got other stuff to do. I've got to go to, actually, I kind of have to finish at 11 because I've got to go at like 11:30 because I got to go to lunch. So Rick Kelly, I'm not doing Rick Kelly here. No, we got SVG. Let's do SVG. He wasn't beaten that often. SVG would have been worse overall than James Courtney. This is going to be a tricky one. Worse overall. I'll put that there because Bright and Customer Car equal. I don't think it was completely equal though. I think might have been better at some things, but not better at others. Might have been better race, equal racer. I think that's what I meant. So better overall. Oops, better overall. NA. Oh, here we go. 2016. Who was better in 2016, Jamie Whincup or SVG? So, 13 times out raced his teammates, 12 times out qualified teammates. So that's what, 15 points for SVG, 15 overall for SVG. Little V for Van. 12 times for Whincup. Also equals, so 24. Hang on. Stupid. What are you doing? It's 25. And then it's 24 overall for Whincup. Oh my god. How close do you like it? Lowndes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 4. So 9 overall for CL. I'll make that JW for consistency's sake. So, overall in 2016, by 1 point, SVG was better. Boom. And you like that. 2017, this will be interesting. I don't know why I hadn't done this before. Just sort of looked at those other metrics and went, it's good enough. But I like breaking it down. Like, who was better in quality? Who was better in racing? So 13 times, 11 times, it's 24 times. Roll for SVG. 15 and 12, so 27 overall JW. And 1 quali for Lowndes, and that's it. 1 overall CL. Brutal. So JW got the chocolates in 2017, which is obviously makes sense. 2018. Oh, I'm actually kind of annoyed that I'm going to run out of time. I might stretch the friendship a little bit because it's only going to take me half an hour to get to lunch, so that's okay. Close indeed. SVG for the win. Yes. I don't know. I'm more of a J-Dub fan, but that's close. That's close by 1 point. I think it was 1 point for Heimgartner and Reynolds in 2021 as well. There's like some years where you're like, oh no, this guy was better. Oh no, that guy was better. And you're like, it was neck and neck all year. There might have been like 3 races where this guy wins, and then there's 3 races where that guy wins. It's so close. You'll love it. That's what you want to see in competitive sport. You want to see one guy raising the bar, the other guy raising the bar, pushing each other. Yeah. 15 and 12, let's call 27 overall SVG. If you asked me, I would have thought Wing Cup. Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, sometimes the championship result does explain it, but sometimes it doesn't. Like Lowndes versus Scaife in the HRT years, Scaife was out qualifying Lowndes all the time. Like he was just faster in quali trim, but he couldn't get the race results right. And then in 2000, he grabbed Lowndes' engineer, and then he was suddenly winning. That's what Scapey said in his book, Scapey Life in the Fast Lane. He grabbed Robbie Starr, and then suddenly he was winning. It's just like, it's crazy. 11 for J-Dub. It's 20. Oh my God, it's straight up equal. In 2018. I corrected. I'd assume it's swapped Wing Cup 2016 and SVG 2017. Welcome on, Bootleg. I'm sure you're probably watching for a little while anyway. Yeah, because SVG won the championship 2016, Wing Cup won it in 2017, but what we got? Yeah, SVG 2016, Wing Cup 2017. Last 5 to 10 minutes. All right. Oh, okay, yeah, you were watching the last 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, cool. Yeah, well, I gotta. I'll stop at 20 past because if then I don't know, there might be something like I gotta get this or something. So that's streams on early, so I'm usually asleep. Yeah, fair enough. Sometimes when you need your booty sleep. I wake up so early because I gotta go. I wake up at 3:45 in the morning for a 6 o'clock start at work because I gotta go pick up a bunch of people, and I leave the house at 4:45 and then get to work at like 5:20 to 5:30 depending on. It's disgusting. Yeah, it's crazy, but it just means you gotta go to bed earlier. They pay you better. They do. I do make money out of doing it. That's the only reason I'm doing it. Otherwise, it'd be like, I don't know if I want to do this. Do I have to get out of bed this early? Yeah, I'd rather that work started later and finished later. But yeah, fuck waking up that early. Yeah, I used to wake up at like 8 o'clock and then go to bed at like was it 8 or 8:30, and then wake up and go to bed at like 11:30 when I get home from work when I was doing afternoon shift. Lowndes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Roll Lowndes. So that's just equal in 2018. $2019. And then for some reason I've got them separated like that. But do I have it all in the same thing? Yes. Okay. No, hang on. I don't have quali for SVG. Had some rotten luck in 2017. Yeah, he had times, but sometimes he was also stuffing up as well. So I don't have the numbers for how Wing Cup was out qualifying on. Get those real quick. I think Wing Cup might have had him in quali. 19. Should have won the 2017 Bathurst, and that would have swung the championship. But he choked twice. Yeah. I remember he also stuffed up at Sandown as well. Can't remember what exactly he did, but I don't remember if I'm pretty sure he was stuffing up. Because it wasn't like a mechanical issue. That's J-Dub had him in quali. Alright, hang on. Hang on. Directly the opposite of what happened to me the year before. 12 times SVG. That's 50. That's 25. Overall SVG. 15 times J-Dub did. Hang on. Yep. And then that's 20. Hang on. 19 is okay. Basically 20. So it's 34. Roll J-Dub in 2019. There you go. Worse overall. That is not how you spell equal. It's with one L. 2020. And I just don't have the quality stats for Wing Cup for some reason. Oh, because you can just work it out easily. It's 15. Doofus. Yeah. That's why I haven't done it. Because once I went to 2 cars, then you didn't have to work it out. 15 J-Dub. So that's what? That's 12 and it's 25. 12 times J-Dub and 15 times J-Dub. 27 overall. J-Dub. Got him in 2020 as well. And then obviously it was better in 21 and 22. We don't need to write home about that one. And I'm pretty sure he was better overall in 23, but we'll double check those numbers. Yes, that's 15 for Brock Feeney. 15 for BF. Yeah, so 13 and 28. Oops. So 28 overall. SVG. And 9 and 15. So 24 overall BF. Yep, so better all overall SVG, but that's close. Got left there, worse. Up against some pretty incredible opposition as well. But the equal one, 2016, that's crazy. Like, it's pretty rare to get it that close. All right, so we've got 17 seasons. Not all of them not all of them he had a teammate. He didn't have a teammate at Team Kiwi. He didn't have a teammate at Techno, apart from 2013. So, what's that? 4 where he was worse? Out of 17 equal. Hang on a minute. I'm calculating it wrong. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right. Yep. 9 out of 17. Except it can't be out of 17. It's got to be out of 14. Because he wasn't up against teammates in 3 of those years. 64.2% SVG. 64.2%. So James Courtney, 2008. Wing Cup 17, 18, 9, 17, 19, and 20. Uh, 2017, 2019, 2020. Whoops. Maybe don't be doing enter on Notepad. It doesn't like it. Yeah, on Tanda. I'm gonna do Tanda. So I got 10 more minutes. So we'll do Tanda, the goat, as I've been saying. SVG. And so I'll be able to do this for all the other ones too. That'll be good. Garth. Alright. And I've got the totals for a lot of them. But some of them I think I wasn't sure if he was like how close I was. He was worse overall than Bargs in 1998. He only got better towards the end of the year. But in 99 he kind of smashed him, pretty sure. 2004 was up against McConville, but I don't think it was that close. Better overall. Because Bargs kept on crashing and just having a terrible time. I'm pretty sure he's better overall. Because I think he would have smashed Bargs in quali in 2001. Maybe I should have a button for this. That's too long to be going that far down the order. Place in this document, 2001. Ta-da. Quicker. All right. That's what happens when you have someone who's got like a 20-year career. All right. So this 2001 quali trim smashed him in quali. 3 times Bargs out qualified him. And then it's very, very close. It's equal there. So yeah. That's 8. That's 20 to... No, that's 20 to 15. So yeah. Had it well over him. I don't know why I bothered checking. that was not worth my time. Better overall than Bargs, better than Wing Cup, 2004. I'm pretty sure he was. Alright, let's not. What is it? What's the phrase? Work smarter, not harder. Alright. Smashed him in quali. And it was 9 to 11 in race trim. So, yeah. Well and truly. Better overall. Better than Rick. Better than Rick. Better than Rick. 2008, he was up against better than Scafey. 2009, pretty sure he's better than Will Davison. Better than Davison. Better than Courtney. Better than Courtney. Here we go. 2013. So. Um, 13 times in quali for GT. So right. Alright, so 13 and 19. Oh, here we go, 32. 32 overall for GT. And then 13 times for JC. $33 overall for JC. So, beaten in 2013. I love that we're closer to the end of his career. Worse overall. It's the first time since 1998 that we're writing that down for him. And he's worse in quali and worse racer, so no need to write home about that one. 2016, though. 12 to, 17? So 12. So there's 19 there. Oh, it's equal. Equal overall. Let's not misspell equal. And smashed. Smashed moth, smashed Golding. Garth Tander. Garth Tander's where it's at. Alright. I don't know. I've managed to do that in a record time there. I thought at the rate I was doing it was going to take longer. We've got a little bit of time. I don't know who else I could do. I've got a couple. Some of them aren't even finished. Greg Murphy. I could do Greg Murphy. I'll do that one. Alright. So, in 21 years, how many times was he better? Most of the time. 16 out of 21 seasons. Okay. I was like, that doesn't sound right. 16 out of 21. 76% Garth Tander. So Jason Barker won in 1998. James Courtney 2013. Oh, hang on. 14, 15. There you go. But still, most of the time, Courtney's was not as good. I should do Courtney's one day. It might be interesting. I don't have all the numbers out. That's why I've got 2009 driver ups and downs. I've got 2010 to do as well. Alright, so that one was interesting. So, and then we find... I don't need the 2015 one anymore. That's fine. Alright, Greg Murphy. Also got Scafie as well, but Scafie was pretty good for most of his career too. Murph would be a more interesting one. Because, like, maybe he's at, like, Reynolds level. Right. Better in 1997, worse in 98, but that wasn't, like, a full season, but I'm still counting it. Apparently. Yeah, I'm still counting it. Thinking, do I have any partial seasons that I haven't counted? Because that's just one round. That's Calder Park 1998. That's what that is. In the VT as well, whereas Lowndes and Scaife are in the VS. 98, 99. Oh, here we go, 99. And it's not even that far to go back, is it? It must be more like Reynolds. Graded a few tracks, average at others. Yeah, I think so. So 99. And I got a lot of stats for Murph because he's my favourite driver ever. He's just one that I love to look at the numbers to be like, how maybe he wasn't that bad and trying to find something. But no, he was about as good as Stephen Richards, if not a little bit better. So, qualifying head to head, where is it? Where have I put it? Oh, here, down the bottom. 6 to 5. So 6 and 11 makes that 17. So 17 overall. Murph there. Which is 5 for Richo. So 5 and 16. Which is... That's Richo. Richo got that one, right? 21. 16. Yeah. 20 overall Richo. So there's Wes in that one in 99. But Reynolds didn't win 4 Bathursts. Wes overall. And I think he beat him in 2000. He just had, he was bad in race trim for some reason. I think he had a lot of bad luck as well. Can't remember what all of it was. Yeah, it's a better stuff up and a half, that one. And the number of times that Richo crashed too and still beat Murph. It's crazy. Like, for such a bad year that Richo had, he's still beaten Murph. Anyway. And yep, had it easily over him. Because it's 15. Yeah, definitely beat Richo in that one. And then I think he was beating Todd and Rick in those other years. Better overall. Yes. Worse in 2004, definitely. Oops. 2005, definitely better. He was against Paul Wheel. 2006. Yeah, 2006 was like a bad luck story for Murph. It's 20 past. Fuck. Alright, I'm going to try and do it. So 9-2 in quali. So you got 9 there for quali. And 10. So you got 19 overall Murph. And what's that? 19 plus 2. That's 21 McConville. McConville beats him by 2 points. Damn. See, I can do it quick. I can work quick. I just don't believe that I can work quick. That's all. Worse overall. Damn. Let's do another one. It's 2007. Keep pushing the envelope. That's what you got to do. 2007 against JR. Here we go. So 4-8. So 4 times. Because JR was out qualifying him a lot of the time. So 4 and 20, 22, 26 overall Murph. And what's that? 13 times, so 13 and 8 is 21. 21 overall JR. I can't remember if it was because JR had a lot of bad luck. I think it kind of was. JR didn't qualify as well as Murph in that one, so it definitely didn't help. But then he got the podium. Murph didn't get the podium. Thing is about you could go into minor details and be like, was it how much bad luck was it? How much was it reliability or something, or getting caught up in someone else's crash? 2008. Whoops. Where are we looking? I didn't look at 2008, did I? Where is he? He was worse in 2007. No, better in 2007. Better overall, 2008. Alright, so 3 and so 19 for Murph. And 9 times for Jason Richards. And then that's 16 in race trim. So 16 and 9 is 25. 25 overall JR. JR beat him again. Worse overall 2008. Go JR. 2009 better. 2010 worse because he was out qualifying Ingle, but he was way worse in race trim. Like, look at that wall of orange for Ingle. Yeah, not good enough. And then got smashed by Rick Kelly and the other ones. All right. So, we got Murph almost done. So, worse. It's not good. That's very close for Murph. He wasn't ever fully equal in any of them. All right. So, in 16 seasons, it's 8 out of 16, 50% for Greg Murphy. I got Rich I can do as well, 50% for Greg Murphy. But then you got Craig Lowndes up there, second tier, right? So, maybe Murph was better than Lowndes. I'm going to run. Thanks for the stream. Congrats on the year and have a good one. You too, dude. Thank you for coming, for making a great stream. And yeah, now I got to go anyway. So thanks for joining. Thanks for coming, Bootleg, as well. And see you next weekend, hopefully. Yeah, thanks for coming. This has been a good stream. And yeah, now I got to go. It's, uh, it's been a good time. All right. Bye bye.